So help me God.
So help me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Barbara Bush will be remembered, first of all, for her look. Her snow white hair, the fact that she didn't, like a lot of women as they age, want to dye their hair or have facial work done. She aged gracefully and graciously in terms of her physical appearance. She wasn't a clothes horse. She always dressed nicely, but she wasn't into designer clothes, for example. And I think that that helped her to relate to the average American woman, certainly, and maybe to the American man. And by the time she was in the White House, she had kind of a grandmotherly appeal about her, but I'd say grandmother with an edge. And I think that's also how she'll be remembered as well. Someone who spoke her mind, did not come out typically harshly about public policy questions, but certainly spoke her mind about people and about her sense about people. And that is often a very important quality in a political wife, particularly a more traditional political wife, which she has been, and particularly in a first lady who's more traditional. In a way, although Barbara Bush was a traditional first lady, she took on the role of modern first ladies, which really start with Eleanor Roosevelt, who came on strong, obviously, as her own woman in politics. But after Eleanor Roosevelt, really until we get to Jacqueline Kennedy and Lady Bird Johnson, we don't have first ladies taking on projects as Barbara Bush would do until the 1960s. So she's part of that line of modern and contemporary first ladies to pick a public policy issue that she cares about deeply and personally. And in the case of Barbara Bush, it was literacy, because one of her children had a learning disability, had some trouble reading, and she became very interested in that, particularly interested in it as it involved immigrants to this country for whom English was a second language. She also connected it to homelessness and realized that many children who aren't able to read, this is because they are homeless. So she put all these factors together and really made that the cause of not only her first ladyship, but it became the cause of the rest of her life and the post-presidency of George and Barbara Bush. A remarkable relationship, certainly a young romance that blossomed when they were teenagers. Barbara Pierce, as her maiden name was only 16 when she met a dashing George Herbert Walker Bush at a Christmas dance in New England, and he was just a year her senior. So they were both high schoolers when they met, but they just had almost an instantaneous falling in love, a love at first sight, that then carried them through the war years because George Bush Sr. Signed on to the Navy just after graduation from Andover and went off to the South Pacific and became a war hero, while his girlfriend and then fiance Barbara Pierce awaited him. And as soon as he was shipped home by the early part of 1945, they married and have had this 70-plus years of, generally speaking, wedded bliss, it would seem, though they have had their bumps in the road over that time, including the loss of their daughter Robin to leukemia in 1953. But it's been a strong political partnership. They seem to this day to be very much in love,